Yeah.
Alright, guys, we're live.
Good to go. Yeah.
Incredible, you can take a tree like that and you get out.
All right, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. It's 9 o'clock. We do have a quorum. I'd take a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion a second on the agenda. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, so we're gonna go into public hearing section. I'm gonna recess the regular meeting. And I will take a motion to open the public hearing for DD 14.
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Roll call vote, Lowberg,
Aye.
maybe?
Aye.
Stone, aye. Okay, public hearing is open on DD 14, engineers report for annexation. Colton, it's all you.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name's Colton Cunningham. I'm with Fulton and Mink.
I'm Jacob Hagan with Fulton and Mink.
Yep. We're here today. This is the annexation hearing for Drainage District 14. Drainage District 14 is located pretty much just south of Northwood. We've had previous hearings based on the project that's been proposed on 14 that's been bid out. Each of you here today has a copy of the engineer's report or the annexation report. We're just gonna go through it briefly and talk about what this process is and why we're here. So annexation is the process of bringing lands into a drainage district. Drainage districts are governed by code 468 of the Iowa State Code. You can see here in our report, we describe the landscape, what the district is currently made of. The district has several drainage tiles in it. You all should also in your report, you should have maps show the layout of the tiles so you can kind of understand where the district facilities are, such as here. And we're building a new tile main plus several laterals as we go. One reason why we're here with annexation today, the drainage district was formed, I don't remember the exact year, like 1919 or something like that. A long time ago. The concept of ag drainage was different back then. Back then, you were trying to get enough water off the ground to make farmland usable. The drainage coefficient back then was a 1/4 inch per acre per day. So for every acre in the watershed, you want to be able to drain a 1/4 inch out of it per day. The modern standard, which was updated in the 50s, is 1/2 inch per day. So instead of, converting farm ground, now we're talking about how do we optimize farm ground for farming? How do we get higher yields? So that's where the modern drainage standard comes from. And that's something we take into account when we look at what lands benefit from the drainage district. It's not just, did we make your land farmable? It's do you receive benefits from a better drainage, thereby increased yields and other benefits that come from drainage. So methodology. We can read a little bit out of the code. Iowa Code 468.2 states the benefits of drainage districts. The drainage of surface waters from agricultural and all other lands, including state-owned lakes and wetlands, or the protection of such lands from overflow shall be presumed to be a public benefit and conducive to the public health, convenience, and welfare. And then they lay out the rules for classification, which is our next hearing, but it's important for understanding what lands are deemed to have benefited. So it says Iowa Code 468.4 lays out the rules for classification, estimating the benefits received, and estimating the benefits to the lands, only the benefits which will be received by reason of the construction of the improvement in question, in this case, DD 14, as it affords an outlet to the drainage of such lands or brings the outlet nearer to said lands or relieves the same from overflow and relieves and protects the same from drainage by erosion. So by building this drain tile, we've brought an outlet. The drain tile here, in this case, we're draining to the river. We're bringing a tile that has a 1/2 inch coefficient to these lands, bringing the outlet nearer to all of these lands. And so from that standpoint, it fits the requirements of the code. So annexation, we're only figuring out does land benefit, not how much does it benefit. That's the purpose of classification, which is the next hearing. So, we've determined that the lands on this map do receive benefit from the drainage district. This is not the entire watershed of drainage district 14. It does go up into town somewhat. And maybe Jacob can talk a little bit about, why it doesn't include the entire drainage district,
So, yeah, the watershed,
the
typically,
entire watershed.
typically the entire watershed is included in the drainage district. Not always. In this particular situation, we are not recommending annexing the lands in town, the residential properties. There's kind of an economic trade-off to currently the tile that we're installing, that will be installed this fall, is sized for agricultural lands. It's sized for the lands in the district, including the lands we've recommended for annexation to that 1/2 inch drainage coefficient. If you include every landowner in the drainage district has a right to tile into that district. It also has a right to object to any projects. And it also has a right to request any projects. So you have all these rights when you're in a drainage district that you do not have when you're not in the drainage district. So if the town would have been included in the drainage district, the town would have had the right to object to any projects. They also would have the right to request any projects, and they'd have the right to tile into these projects, in this existing tile. As it is now, with them not being included, they do not have those rights. So that way, if we would have included town and we would have sized it to drain town, we would have had to upsize all the tile at a pretty substantial cost. Most of that cost would be on the farmland because it's the largest area. So the decision was made to size it for the egg ground and then drain it for the egg ground and not include town at this time. Now, town could be included in the future at some point. We haven't closed the door completely on it.
So what happens in that situation? If the town comes and requests to be put into, or to utilize that tile that's there?
Yeah.
How are they gonna be billed for the work that the landowner's already paid for?
Mhm.
And then you just said that the tile we're putting in is not big enough
Yeah,
to handle that water.
the tile is sized for a 1/2 inch for the egg ground right now. If it would need to be upsized for the urban drainage, my recommendation would be that the city pays for that upsize completely. Because that then benefit would be entirely on the city.
So then,
So that's where if you don't include them now, you have that,
But they're still gonna be dealing with their water, aren't they?
they're still gonna be dealing with their surface water.
Yeah.
Surface water will still come over, but they don't have any right to tile drain into it.
So the current tile size for 1/2 inch per acre per day for the entire watershed,
Will
including town.
cover.
Yeah.
It will include the surface.
But that's just what we need for ag drainage, not for urban drainage.
But if we end up like Spencer,
Yeah, this won't protect you from six
there's
inches.
no hope there. It's not gonna happen next to the mat.
Okay, our housing development on the south side, you excluded it right now. But if that were to expand to the south or to the east, it looks to me like it would go into the drainage district. So then that would be already available to connect to that tile.
Goes the other way, don't
Those lands that would be in the district, if the city grew itself into the district. Those lands would be in the district, they would have the right to tile into it.
Yeah, right. You wouldn't wanna rely on a 1/2
Yeah,
inch
you're-
tile for your drainage of a development, but. It would help.
Yeah, your storm sewer would still be undersized using this as an outlet, especially you'd have to run through, so our new tile ends here. So you'd have a 3/4 of a mile. Where you'd be running through a private tile to get to it.
So that tile on the west is going to be how big?
No.
The tile right here,
Oh, on the other side.
I believe is an 18 inch lateral form.
Yeah, I think
it's an 18 inch. And it ends right here. It ends at the property lines and all the north end of all the property. So then this housing development would have to have it construct its own system for 3/4 of a mile to even get to that outlet. And then it would still be restricted to a 1/2 inch drainage coefficient, which would be undersized for that small. So it may become better, they may be better off at that point to use that storm sewer that's being built on just north of it.
Yeah.
I think they're laying at 24. Sure, they-
It's kind of neither here.
yeah, but if that actually happens,
But yeah, if once land's annexed, it has a right to use it. If, say that development builds its own system that doesn't utilize the district facility, then you can ask, the board can consider reducing the assessment. You can reclassify the district, so.
we did have, I guess, is there any further questions or objections from landowners? We did have some that were written in, so we'll go ahead and read. Okay,
The newest one's on top that I just got,
okay,
and he submitted one back last year too.
okay. I'll only read the ones that are actually being annexed, because there were several landowners who objected to it, who we did not annex. My name is Tim Berg here today. Okay, I'll go ahead and read his. My name is Tim Berg and I'm submitting a written request to be removed from consideration towards the annexation reclassification in regards to DD 14. I see no value or benefit to me long-term in this project. Tim Berg's property is right here. We've included about five acres. Total corner. He's in the southeast corner. After further review of the LiDAR maps, we do want to take a look at that a little closer, because it does appear like the water could flow either this way, but it'd have to go through the fence line, or north through his property, or also south. There's kind of a spot there that could go one of three ways. So it is possible that it doesn't drain into the
surface water.
And he didn't include any more information.
I mean, maybe it has maps of tile.
Yeah, he didn't include any more information, so we would like to investigate that one a little bit further. Maybe he has tile maps or anything like that.
Water.
Then we have from November 2023, from Millard Anderson, I think is on Zoom. Millard, would you like to read this objection? I believe he's talking more about, we had proposed an additional lateral, if you remember, off to the east that we did not build. I think that's more what his objection is about.
He didn't want to be in there, because he's the one that has drainage going the other direction, right?
Mhm.
But what
Oh,
about
Millard, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm here. I was just objecting to the running that lateral from the drainage district ditch up through our property there. I'm not objecting to anything else.
Okay.
That's already been taken care of, so thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you, Millard.
You bet.
Then we have Reuben Foley, who we didn't annex in the end either. He was further south. Tim Mullen and Lou. I don't believe we annexed them.
No,
No, that
And
was,
now, and is it Jim?
yeah.
Jim.
that's the stuff that's north of Atwood.
And then we have Deborah Reavers, is she?
That's us,
Okay,
and we explained it when we were on Zoom in Arizona, so.
okay, because your yours was in CRP.
Yeah, it is all in CRP. I don't exactly agree with it, but you explained that because in the future, somebody would wanna.
Yep, so yeah, CRP since 30-year or 15-year contract. We haven't excluded it because it still is considered agricultural land. We have made exceptions for people who put it in a permanent program before. So there's
This
like,
has been pretty permanent for years.
yeah. But yeah, so some people have sold their land to the state or something like that in a wetland program where they now have they've sold complete easements off, we'd have reduced it, but for CRP, we haven't.
If that land went into crop, some
Mhm.
time. it'd have to go across the neighbors to hook on.
Yes,
Is that something the county will get an outlet to that land?
so you can do it two ways. You can either be in a drainage district, you have a right to go through your neighbors to get out of that tile and put your own private tile in. You have a right to do that. That's probably the easier way to do it. Typically it's less expensive just to plow in a plastic tile yourself. You can petition the district for a lateral, in which case we would go through this whole process. Kind of like what we've already done through for this one, and then they would lay a new county lateral or district lateral.
Cause see, the lateral that you had proposed was going to hook up to that.
Yes. Yep, yeah, there was that lateral, we call it lateral 8.
Yeah. something.
Yep, and that was voted down, but yep, and typically it's cheaper to do it privately,
Okay.
to just plow in a plastic tile. It's typically cheaper than going through this process.
More likely, you're gonna get the biggest benefit of by doing it, unfortunately, so you end up paying for it anyway.
Yep,
Most of it.
Yeah, right. We have another.
yep,
Yeah.
Your map,
Mhm.
this is the piece we're talking about, you know.
Yep.
Used to be an old sand pit right there.
Okay,
Look at the map, it almost looks like to the northeast that would drain to the northeast and that's south. I guess we're not objecting to the whole area, but I'm just looking at that corner,
Mhm.
that the way the lines are drawn on at the top of that little map, I think it
yep, yeah,
looks to me like it looks strange to the northeast.
we can, this little edge here maybe. We can double check that.
Yeah.
It,
And that's,
it looks like the high contour.
Yeah.
Contours aren't labeled, but I think the high contour is this one right here. It moves around here, so we ran it down the middle of
I
that.
know there's a hill
Yeah.
right there. Hey, take a look at it again, you know, that line could
My
be.
gosh, you want to go out to the land and look. Because it all goes, it all goes up.
You can drive that again, you remember, the drive over. Then from here, they all go down, but I'm not too sure this, the drain,
Right. Yeah, I think
southwest.
this could also look funny because I think that might exclude, our boundary excludes the land that's tiled to the east, right?
Yeah, that, the
Yes.
neighbor has this all time. And
So yeah, if we were drawing a surface water boundary, I think we'd take it down through here. Like that,
mhm.
following those contours. But yeah, we'll have another. look at it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Then we got an objection from Josh and Chelsea Duvall. They are not included in the district either. We have an objection from the railroad from November 27th. I'll just kind of summarize. Their objection is that they do not benefit the same way because they are not agricultural lands. You do not have to be agricultural lands to be in a drainage district. We believe that they do benefit from the less wet conditions in which they were able to build their track. They benefit no differently than the county road would benefit from it as well. If the water is able to shed off and have an outlet somewhere to get away from it. And their assessments would reflect that similar level as a county road.
Yeah, cause they pay too.
Yeah.
I think there's a pretty minimal.
Yeah, it's a, you know,
Dennis Walster, I don't think he was annexed either. He was in,
That's my brother and he isn't in it anymore.
he was in that, the
Yeah,
lateral.
yeah,
eight.
yeah.
And that is all the objections that we have filed. There's no other comments. I recommend approving it with a review of those two areas. And then we'll file an amendment here. We'll probably drive out there today, take a look at it, see what we can see, and then, get back to you with an amendment probably tomorrow for a final approval.
With Bergie's on that little finger that sticks in, I assume that it's, he already has it tiled because he's part of 5.
Yeah.
Like DD5.
Yeah, the rest of
The
his
rest of
farm,
that 80.
rest of his farm is, so it wouldn't
Yeah,
make
it's like-
sense to just do the whole 80. But yeah, we'll drive out there. We won't see much from the road
One
anyway.
way to his maps if he's been taught, so he can let me show you.
Okay, are there any other comments or questions then from the public? Hearing none, I'd take a motion to close the public hearing.
So
Second. All right, roll call vote, Lowberg, maybe Stone, aye. Okay, public hearing is closed. I'll reconvene our regular meeting and ask for a motion to approve the annexation with pending the adjustments of 2 parcels or 2 areas for DD 14.
I'll make that.
Yeah, so, all right, you got a motion and a second. Any discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor, aye? Aye, opposed? Okay. Now I will recess our meeting and take a motion to open the public hearing on the engineer's report for reclassification of DD 14. Okay, for a second, roll call vote, Lowberg, maybe Stone, aye. The public hearing is open on reclassification. Once again, gentlemen, floor is all yours.
So after annexation, we approved the project that will be completed in this fall. We've included reclassification, which is just a formalizing of what we had already done as part of the hearing process, where we made some pre-classification reports. This will allow for a full schedule that then we will be able to use to assess the landowners for the project cost of the new DD 14 tile that will be constructed this fall. For this year's assessment, we will only be assessing the amount that's been assessed to date. So I think it's around $100,000 will be assessed. So we've, I guess, kind of to get into how we do this assessment schedule is I'll use the lower main. You see this map here, the lower main, it's the largest one. It's the one that covers the most area. It says lower main up on the top. So how we do our assessment schedules is we determine the benefit using 3 factors. And the 3 factors are use, which is how much of the facility you use. So if you're down at the outlet of the facility, you will pay less than someone who's at the upper at most part of the facility. And the rationale being that you're on the upper end, that tile had to be constructed all the way to you to serve as an outlet versus the person on the outlet. The benefit he's really receiving is to get your water on with him. He's got an outlet closer. He could probably outlet directly into the creek himself. So that's the use factor. So you see those dollar amounts are higher up on the use, higher up on the tile. The next one we use is proximity to the tile. So that's how close you are to the tile. So the closer you are, you have an outlet right there available to you. You're gonna be able to hook into it easily. You're gonna pay more than someone who's 2 or 3 properties back. Where they've got to go through their neighbor's property, kind of like what you guys were talking about with you have to go through your neighbor's property. Your assessment will be lower than theirs based on the proximity factor. The third factor we use is your soil wetness. So that's how much do you need drainage? So in this particular drainage district, there's quite a big variety of soil types. There's the sandier soils up on the top end that are either excessively well drained or well drained and don't really have much of a need for drainage. It's still their water going down onto the lands below, and there is still some need for drainage. I think Iowa State's done study that even in sandier soils, there is yield increases. Now, the economics of it maybe aren't as good, but the reason being is you burn down in August, where if you've had the drainage in May, your roots have gone deeper in that sandier soils. So when you burn in August, you've got better root development. So there is some yielding benefits from sand, but it's not to the same level that a pothole that you can't even plant in the spring is. So they're, your poorly drained, dark soils are gonna pay higher assessments than your well-drained soils are. And so we put that all together. And then we also assess the roads and the railroads. For their runoff, because they don't have the agricultural productivity, so we use runoff for them. How much do they run off based on what they are designed to shed their water off onto you? And put that all together and we end up with a map kind of like this, where red is the highest assessed and green is the lowest assessed. So in this map, the lower main, which the lower main ends right here at the junction where it starts going north and the other one starts going east. It's kind of right here in the middle. South of the photos, south of the number 4. That's where you're gonna see your highest assessed dollars then too. It's high use, it's also a wet area, and it's right on the tile. So that's why, and then you see it just tapering back as we get farther away. So this land up here that's well drained is dark green. Now there is some spots along it, like this area here is a very poorly drained area. So that soil type is really driving that one right there. Its proximity and its use are pretty low, but because it's such a poorly drained area, it's gonna be a red color coding. That's your CRP ground. It was, according to the soil maps, that was the poorest ground in the district. So that just drives that high assessment in that area. So that's the lower main. This schedule, we have everyone's dollars per acre shown on it based on a $276 construction cost, $276,000 construction cost, which was what the bid was for this lower main. There will be additional costs because it's $100,000 that have been all soft costs, most of it engineering, some legal, some publication, some interest. We're recommending that 55% of the amount today, the debts today, be assessed to the lower main, and then 15% to each of the 3 laterals. Based on their construction cost, that seems to balance out. The construction cost was the largest on the lower main. The lower main is also the one that everyone was affected. It's the one that drove the petition signing in the first place. Everyone needs that outlet. So we're recommending 55% for soft costs being assessed to the lower main and 15% for each lateral. Is there any questions about the lower main? And then I'll get into the laterals too. I think these are the exact same maps, just new dollars that the pre-class maps were. We did take off. I think we took off, you said, we took off the USDA, we had them in, we took that.
Yeah, there are some on these maps that are not actually in the districts, but they do still show up on the maps as receiving dollars per acre. These are fringe areas for the most part, like on the upper main. These 2 parcels to the side here. This is just a watershed boundary that trimmed along a property line. These 2 parcels aren't included in the schedule. And they account for like $31 on the map. But at that small of a price point, it's easier not to include them.
Because this actual bid was cheaper than your projection.
Yes, yep, we got bids from Rognus Brothers out of Lake Mills, and they were, can't remember how much below the estimate, he bid it very competitively.
Yep.
And he plans on starting work this fall. So, I would think the construction costs will probably be assessed next year. Right, well, we get it out by
Yes.
next spring, taxes in spring. Or fall taxes.
Fall taxes.
Fall tax.
November,
So, yeah, so it'll be,
wait, right, September,
September.
September.
well, so yeah, construction costs will be 2025 fall. Will go out. And this initial cost, try to save some interest over this next year, save interest on 100,000. We're gonna assess this amount for this year. Yeah, but there's 3 assessments. There's the lateral 4, which is west of the railroad, lateral 5, which is
East of the railroad.
east of the railroad. It's the farthest east of the 3, and then there's the upper main, which runs kind of east of the railroad. or parallel on the railroad. You do have the option, if your assessment is more than $500, to do an installment payments for it. You have to talk
Yeah,
about,
you'd come see me, so any parcel over $500, you can sign a waiver, it's 8% interest,
Oh,
and it goes out 20 years.
and you can also, yeah, get private financing.
And that's simple interest.
So the 100,000 will be due this September,
Yes.
and then the big project will be due next year, September.
Because I've already got, 100,000 out there in Stanford sitting, starting to collect interest already, so I'd like to go ahead and get those called in, save you guys money.
And you said next week you'll be able to
Yes.
You'll be able to tell us
So
exactly.
as soon
what
as
we're
he's like, yes, this is the schedule.
Yeah.
I can plug in all my numbers and have all this ready.
doing For even 2025's numbers. Approximately.
Ballpark, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
That's all.
because there'll be some changes probably during construction.
Right, I
but yeah.
understand, but
Yeah,
yeah,
like in the assessment schedule book, he did like on the lower, he went ahead and guessed out, 176,000. So if you were to look at your parcel and be like, that would be close.
okay.
Yeah,
There will be some soft costs added in that, but
That's
it'll be pretty close.
Yeah, we can hand out the.
Yeah.
You got one? You got one? I think that's the organization form.
No,
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Here's a good one.
Oh, this,
You got the annexation, classification.
like I didn't see it in the building.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
We're trying to find it here about the assessments. It's this piece here, but it said there was zero benefit from the acres.
Yes.
Explain that again.
So we
We
brought
talked to
that
him
in,
that day.
and then
Yes,
we did remove that from the schedule.
Oh, you did.
We did remove it, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There was just we had that sliver on it, becomes not worth it to assess.
Well, there is no sliver even. This
Yeah,
is
it's-
the one above that had the sliver.
Mhm.
Okay.
And so we did remove that one.
Okay.
yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
$4
Yeah.
a bag.
Great, yeah.
The other thing is we did, everyone who is now north of Keegan's Quarry, that road, I think 450th Street, is that the name of the road? Everything north is no longer on the existing assessment schedule. So the existing assessment schedule that we had prior to today is now only for 450th Street and south. So only those lands now pay for any work that's south of 450th Street because the district has been split in half. So
So that be renumbered?
what?
Will the split, will the south portion be renumbered?
So their numbers technically are the exact same as what they were before.
Okay.
We just took off half the acres.
No, I mean,
When I update the maps,
yeah,
it'll just be.
will we be?
Oh, you'll still be,
I'm DD 14.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Since you are for your purposes and everybody else's, yeah.
but yeah, they will operate completely independently of each other moving forward.
Yeah, and there's only like 18 parcels now in that zone.
Oh,
And most of it's.
600 acres of poles.
Yeah.
Quarry and-
Yeah, construction is planning, August plans on starting after crop out and should be done by the end of the year. This is the plan for DD 14. After construction, we will have another hearing. There'll be a completion hearing in which we talk about crop damages and if there was any grievances with the construction, things like that. And at that point, we'll have final dollars that will be assessed because then we'll have the total construction cost, total soft cost, and any crop damage or anything like that. So that, and that'll be after construction, so it'll probably be sometime next spring or next winter.
March, April,
Yeah,
somewhere.
something like that.
If we
Yeah,
got everything completed, we would try to get it done before farmers go.
we'll try to get it done,
Planting.
so.
Before planting season.
And you'll only be invited to that one if the tile construction actually goes through your property.
Mhm.
So if you're not directly impacted.
Any questions or?
Anybody have questions, comments on reclassification? We're good?
So just, do these numbers in here, does that include that 100,000? No.
They do not,
Okay, so
they do
that's,
not.
that's without the soft top.
Yeah.
This is actual construction.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm. The Val will be able to get you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Your
next
actual
week I
numbers.
should have.
we're not worried about that one.
Okay, well, if there's no more questions, then, I would take a motion to close the public hearing.
Some,
Right, okay. Roll call vote, Lowberg, maybe, Stone, aye. Public hearing is closed for D 14 reclass. And now we need or I'll reconvene the regular meeting. And, take a motion to approve the reclassification for DD 14.
I'll make that a motion.
Okay,
I can second.
all right, any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye, opposed? Okay, DD 14 is reclassified. Is there any other comments, questions on any of the engineers reporting? If not, take a motion to adjourn. All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, aye? Aye, meeting for DD 14 is adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for your attendance. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.